You hear it, don't you? The soft, rhythmic ticking of a clock. Tick-tock, tick-tock. It's louder than it should be, like a heartbeat in the dark, echoing in the silence of your room. But then you notice it, the faintest rustle, almost a whisper coming from the shelf. There it is, that old, forgotten doll. Its eyes, those cold, glassy eyes, are fixed on you, unblinking. The smile on its cracked porcelain face feels wrong, too wide, too knowing. This isn't a story, it's a curse, and it's waiting for you. Emily wasn't afraid of dolls, not at first. Her room was a shrine to them, filled with rows of delicate porcelain faces and stitched smiles, their tiny dresses lined up in perfect order. But there was one doll, one she kept hidden, shoved into the farthest corner of her closet, a doll that was different from the rest. This doll was old, far older than any toy should be. Its dress, once a vibrant blue, had faded to a sickly grey. The hair, brittle and frayed, clung to its scalp in thin patches, revealing the smooth, cracked porcelain underneath. But it was the eyes that haunted Emily. Two glass orbs, cloudy with age, yet somehow full of a malevolent awareness. They didn't just reflect the light, they absorbed it, pulling in the darkness and holding it there, deep within those empty sockets. Emily had found the doll in her grandmother's attic, buried under decades of dust and cobwebs. Her grandmother had been hesitant, almost afraid, to let Emily take it home. "That doll has a history," she said, her voice trembling. "It's seen things, done things, keep it locked away." But Emily, curious and naive, brought it back with her, placing it among her other dolls. At first, everything seemed fine. The doll was just another toy, a relic of the past. But soon, strange things began to happen. It started small. Emily would wake up in the middle of the night to find the doll in a different position than she left it, its head slightly turned, its arms raised as if reaching out. She convinced herself it was just her imagination, or perhaps she had moved it and forgotten. But as the days passed, the changes became more pronounced. One morning, Emily woke to find the doll sitting at the foot of her bed, its legs dangling off the edge, staring straight at her. She remembered placing it on the shelf the night before, but there it was, closer than ever, as if it had crept toward her while she slept. The smile on its face seemed to stretch wider, the cracks in its porcelain skin deepening into something grotesque. The nightmares began soon after. In her dreams, Emily would find herself trapped in a dark, endless corridor, the walls lined with decaying dolls, their eyes following her every move. She would hear the sound of tiny footsteps echoing in the darkness, getting closer and closer until she felt a cold, clammy hand brush against her ankle. She would wake up screaming, drenched in sweat, the doll always there, watching. One night, as Emily lay in bed, she heard a faint scraping sound coming from the closet. She froze, her breath caught in her throat. The sound grew louder, more insistent, like something was clawing its way out. She mustered the courage to look, her heart pounding in her chest. The closet door creaked open, just a sliver, and there, in the darkness, she saw it, the doll dragging itself across the floor, its stiff limbs jerking with unnatural movements. Emily tried to scream, but the sound caught in her throat as the doll's head snapped toward her, its glassy eyes glinting with a sinister light. It crawled onto her bed, its small, cold hands gripping the blanket as it pulled itself closer. She could see its cracked face up close now, the fissures spreading like a spider web across the porcelain, revealing something dark and rotten beneath. The doll's mouth opened, the painted smile splitting into a gaping maw of darkness. Emily could feel the chill radiating from it, the smell of earth and decay filling the room. The doll's tiny hand reached out, brushing against her cheek with a touch as cold as death. She recoiled, but there was nowhere to go. The doll climbed onto her chest, its weight pressing down, making it hard to breathe. In a desperate attempt to rid herself of the cursed thing, Emily grabbed the doll and hurled it across the room. It hit the wall with a sickening thud, its head snapping off and rolling across the floor. For a moment, there was silence, and Emily thought it was over. But then, she heard it. The sound of tiny footsteps, faster now, more frantic. The doll's body, headless and twitching, began to move. It crawled across the floor, searching for its severed head. Emily watched in horror as the head rolled back towards the body, reattaching itself with a grotesque grinding noise. The doll stood up, its smile even wider, more sinister than before. Its eyes locked onto hers, and Emily knew there was no escaping it. Terrified, she ran out of her room, down the hall to her parents' bedroom. She pounded on the door, screaming for them to wake up. But when they opened the door, there was nothing but confusion on their faces. The doll was gone, as if it had never existed. They tried to comfort her, told her it was just a bad dream, but Emily knew the truth. The doll was real, and it was coming for her. That night, Emily's parents were awakened by the sound of shattering glass. Rushing to her room, they found the window broken, the curtains billowing in the cold night air. Emily was gone, her bed empty, the sheets torn and bloody. The doll lay on the floor, its head tilted, eyes staring blankly at the ceiling. In its hand, clutched tightly, was a lock of Emily's hair. They searched for her, but she was never found. The house was abandoned, left to rot, but those brave enough to venture inside spoke of hearing faint, childlike laughter in the dead of night, and the soft patter of tiny footsteps echoing through the halls. And the doll? It's still there, waiting, watching, ready to hunt again. You've entered the darkness. Subscribe for more if you dare. But remember, the shadows are always watching.